And he answered and said unto them, Well hath Esaias prophesied of you hypocrites, as it is written, This people honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. For laying aside the commandment of God, making the word of God of none effect through your tradition, which ye have delivered, and many such like things do ye. And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken unto me every one of you, and understand. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold, they fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good.
Shalom, family, and welcome to a whole new edition of Hebrew Tribes Channel. It's your aunt, G. Militian. First off and foremost, all glory and honor and praises to Ahaya Ashar Ahaya. That's the I am that I am of Exodus 3 and 14. Through Hosanna, that's Yasha, the Savior, Yashayah for my Savior, that's Matthew 21 and 9. All done through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, Kakamawa, wisdom, that's Proverbs 8 and 9 and 1. Peace and blessings to you, family. We back with another one. Took me a while to get this to you because I was fighting to get the They Clone Tyrone breakdown on YouTube. The They Clone Tyrone breakdown is finally up. Netflix removed everything. It's done. Let them have their way. The truth shall go on, because they let other channels use clips here and there, but they don't want yours truly to use clips here and there, so that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started right now with the introduction to, or the opening rather, should I say, to understanding what is promoted by these institutions, including your city-state governments, the country as a whole, and your church. This is about a spiritual battle, first off and foremost, Israel. This isn't about trying to bash anybody, beat anybody down, because we're born into a system where we're told things are normal, we're told things are godly, we're told things are holy, and they're not. They're everything but. This is how the enemy gets you. If you're not looking at things through the spiritual lens, through the word of the Father, you are going to be washed away by the flood of the dragon. You are going to be, as they say, confused. You're going to be dismayed, and you're going to be ultimately a reprobate. And this video is here is to bring some of those back who are starting to peel back the layers of the lies we've been told since birth, and to actually look into what's really going on, family. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get right into it. And this is going to be about Christmas, and by extension, the New Year, and what it really means, and what they told you it means, and what the Father, most importantly, what his word says that it is and what it means. And by the end of this video, you're going to have to be the one that's going to have to make a choice of which way you're going to go. You're going to go to the right, or you're going to go to the left, or you're going to be a fence rider, which you're going to fall over to the left. But we're going to get into the scripture, so you don't have to like the presentation or whatever, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. But the truth is the truth. So let's get to Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So the Father is saying here in this word that the thing that has been is the thing that shall be. That means that what's going on today is what went on in the past. And I had a thought today. I spent a lot of time looking into social issues and social constructs, societies, families, customs. I mean, for many years, I've been studying this, and There's really nothing new under the sun. The stuff that we're doing today, that we're seeing happening today, it was done before. The only difference is we're watching a societal breakdown in real time, family. And the people that are running this earth are going to run it straight into the ground, to the point that Yahshua will have to return. And Yahshua is who the world calls Jesus or Christ. He's going to have to return in order to stop these things from occurring. Like I said, it would be no flesh saved. So I want you to remember that, because I'm going to touch that again at the end. If the whole world's doing the right thing, and he had to flood it before with water, the second flood is going to be a flood of fire. Okay, there's nothing new. So what we're doing today that he disapproves of, we did it back then and he disapproved of. But he sent people such as our prophets. He sent righteous preachers, righteous leaders and teachers that would lead us to the right path. But just as the prophets of old, we didn't want to hear the truth because we were too busy, quote unquote, living life. Okay, so let's get to 1 Timothy 4. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So it's saying that the latter times, so you see what I'm saying here, things have happened as they always have, but he's making a distinction here. In the latter times, it's going to get worse. That's basically what he's saying. You look through the books of Baruch, you look through the book of Revelation, you look through the gospel, and they're asking, Yasha, when will the end come? What's going to happen? And he's telling them earth, famines, pestilence, disease, war, rumors of war. He's saying all these things. But you got everybody running around talking about it's all good, we're gonna be straight, just relax and have another drink, put another quarter in the jukebox, right? What did Yasha say though? Do we see that in society? Do we see that in the earth? The thing about it is, when somebody loves you, when somebody really cares about you, because this word is a letter to his people that he over and over says that he loves, that he calls his own. If that's the truth, you're going to warn them. See, we talk a lot about love in this society, but we don't talk about tough love. And that's the biggest part. It's not always telling somebody I agree with you, I'm gonna hold hands with you while you run and do all this madness. It's to sit you down and say, bro, you going on the wrong path. That's love. That's tough love. You need to get your diet together. You get your household together. You need to get your marriage together. It's hard to tell people that, especially people that you love. But somebody got to pull somebody coattails. This is the whole part about being your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper. But I'll move on. Let me read this last part of verse 2. It says, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. These people that I'm going to be exposing, that are following, and it's not too much the people, but it's the doctrines, because you can choose to follow one or not. Again, we're born into following the wrong doctrine. You got to understand that. So they're following doctrines of devils, seducing spirits, and they're giving heed to them. That means they're listening to them, they're paying attention to them, and they're going to be speaking lies and hypocrisy, and their conscience is going to be seared with a hot iron. This is where you can't change somebody's mind. I've seen, again, I listen to a lot of different material online and call-in shows and stuff like that. And there'll be, like I said, situations where somebody will call and say, I'm having this issue with this family member or significant other or whatever they're going through. Maybe it's a work-related thing with money. And the host of the show will give them excellent advice. Excellent. Like, hey, this is what you ought to do. You ought to A, B, C, D, and do this and do that. And the person, instead of saying, you know what, I haven't tried that. Let me think. Let me at least contemplate on that. No, that ain't gonna work. See, I'm trying to get to the bag. I'm trying to get to the. This is what we're dealing with. Okay, their conscience is seared with a hot iron. If you ever burn something with the iron, you can't do nothing with it. It's done. And that's what some of these people are. No matter how much scripture you show them, how much truth you show them, how much their life is falling apart, how much everything is in turmoil, how much the Father says that is wicked, they're going to make it right. Like I said, you can't help nobody that knows more than the Most High. Can't help nobody that knows more than God. But let's get to Romans 1:28. And even as they did not like to retain God or a higher in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. We're going to come back to this verse, because what we're going to expose in this documentary here is things that are very inconvenient, extremely inconvenient. And again, one more verse about the end times before we move on. This is Revelation 9:20. And this is a verse where when I first started studying the Bible, this is one of the verses I'm like, I can believe it because I know it's the word. But I'm like, no, man, I know it's going to be a lot of people that's going to start seeing all these crazy things happening in politics and media, in the world, in war, in the earth, in economics. And they're going to see all these things. You know what they're going to say? They're going to be like, nah, man, I got to get to my prayer closet. I got to get and talk to the Father. No, they don't. The dice keep rolling and keep on. You know what I'm saying? So it says here, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not, right? Yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold, silver, and brass, and stone, and the last, and of wood. Put a pin in that, and of wood, which can neither see, nor hear, nor walk. So he's saying, this is the revelation of Christ. This is Yasha. When he's saying that these people are going to see these plagues and not be killed by them. They're going to be spared by plagues and pestilence and war and famine. And what are they going to do? They're going to continue to worship what? Devils, idols, stone, brass, and what? Wood. So let's get right into it. We're going to get right into the history of pagan and Canaanite worship in ancient Israel, because when our forefathers rather, were headed into the land, one thing that they did was adopt the customs of the nation they left, which was Egypt. And they also, as the story went on, came into the land, adopted the customs of the nations that surrounded them. The Most High has plenty of scriptures about this. When you look at the story of Samson and Delilah, that's an example of it. When you look at Solomon and his strange wives, that's an example of it. Nehemiah, read the book of Nehemiah. These are all examples of Israel, the chosen nation of the Most High, the 12 tribes, adopting customs of the nations around them, not adhering to his word. And people will read the Bible and say, yeah, they were wrong. You're wrong too. If you're doing these things, these practices, you're wrong too. And the most devilish and wicked of these practices, as we're going to see as we go throughout this, is going to be from Egypt and from Canaan. And later those were adopted by Edom or Esau, and of course all the other nations around, but because Esau's ruling the earth right now. But Egypt and the Canaanite, their connection with their witchcraft and sorcery and human sacrifice. I mean, there's things I can't even show y'all. There's things I love to show y'all just how wicked it is. Like when we talk about the Illuminati and all, like that stuff, it comes from these. That's why they adorn these symbols with the celebrities. Now I don't want to get too far down that path, but I'll just sprinkle a little bit of truth in there. So let's get to Isaiah 30:1-2. Okay, it says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith Ahiah, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit." They're not dealing with the Ruach. They're dealing with something else. It says, woe to them. Woe means destruction. "That they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not as at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt." So again, leaning on Egypt, something that the Most High set you free from, something that you were set free from. The oppressors that kidnapped you, raped you, tortured you, killed you, and did all types of horrific things, did not give you a pure religion, family. What did I say religion was? What does the etymology of religion mean? Bondage. The Most High is, if you're really seeking him, he's going to free you from that bondage. But what are people going to do? They're not going to seek it. They're not going to seek his spirit. They're going to add sin to sin and cleave to Egypt. You're going to cleave to something that has you in bondage. Keep your feather in that hat. Let's go to Ezekiel 30 through 32. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Most High Power, are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers? And commit ye whoredom after their abominations. For when ye offer your gifts, like Christmas gifts, right? When ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, sitting your children on these laps of these fake Satan clauses, who turn out to be PDF files and everything else, right? They're passing them through the fire, sitting them on the Easter Bunny's lap, which that's another subject, but you're sacrificing your children to these idols that don't exist. You tell them not to talk to strangers, don't accept candy from a stranger. You take them to the mall to sit on Santa's lap and get a candy cane. Let's keep it moving. Ye pollute yourself with all your idols, even unto this day. He's saying even unto now. That's not just back then. That's why when we read these scriptures, we need to paste them on this reality, because this is what is going on. Even unto this day shall I not be inquired of by you, O house of Israel. The Most High saying, should I not have to deal with this? These things that you're doing? When you're offering gifts, following after your forefathers, when I'm telling people about the paganism, the wickedness, the desecration of the Sabbath, moving the Sabbath, changing the Sabbath, from their practice in religion, Christianity, and some of them go to Islam and everything else, and more science and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting there telling them, these are people that say they understand and believe in the Bible. Isn't that what our forefathers did? And what happened to them? You tell them, oh, don't eat pork, man. You know, you got the holiday ham. You eating the holiday ham. Everybody in your family got high blood pressure, hypertension, heart problem. Oh, it runs in the family. No, bad eating habits do, though. Bad eating habits do. And if you knew the history of those things, again, destroyed for lack of knowledge, if you knew that history and understood it, you would understand that these things were given to us as a huge stumbling block, and we stumble right over it. Because that's all the slaves were given to eat on these days, was the parts of the animal that the master didn't want. Let me continue reading. He says, as I live, saith the Most High Power, I will not be inquired of by you. So he's not going to listen to your inquiries, excuse me. And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen. We will be as the other nations around us. We will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries, to serve wood and stone. This is what the Israelites were saying back then in Ezekiel's day. We are now in Roman year 2025 going into it. And what are we saying? As a collective, the same thing. We tell people, well, I guess we got some Christians, we got some Muslims, we got some Hebrew Israelites. Yeah, you know, some of y'all brothers, Hebrew Israelites, brother, sister, if you fit these curses, you are, and it isn't Hebrew, black Hebrew, you're an Israelite. This is one word, Israelite. It's very simple. And you weren't called to do any of the things that you're doing in these religions. These are what the Most High calls an abomination. Do you understand this, family? I'm going to go more deep into it. But this is what he calls an abomination. But you see this thing, this grove worship. Worshipping in the grove. This is something that the heathen around us did. They worship trees. I read years ago in ancient Rome, around the palaces, they would have these groves, these trees that they would worship under. The whole story with Buddha. We can get out of Rome for a second. The whole story with Buddha. He got quote unquote enlightened sitting under a tree. Have you noticed when you look at that culture, if you have how they deal with trees? They sit and pray underneath the tree. Is not just for a serene thing. I'm not trying to make trees and nature bad in this either. Let me put that out there. I'm not saying that nature and trees is bad. They do have plants that heal us, plants that are good for us, but we're never supposed to worship these things, family.
How many more times must I be reborn into this world of suffering before I know the bliss of liberation? The Buddha looked up to the tamarind tree, each branch of it bearing many stems, and each stem had dozens of leaves. The Buddha said, "Look at the tamarind tree. Before you know the bliss of liberation from the sufferings of this fleeting world, you must be reborn as many times as the number of leaves on that tamarind tree." As the man looked up at the tamarind tree and its thousands of leaves, his eyes filled with tears of gratitude and joy. "How merciful," he said as he prostrated to the ground at the Buddha's feet. To this day, the tamarind seeds are the symbol of faithfulness.
In 6th century before Christ, Prince Siddhartha got his state of enlightenment and uncovered the ultimate truth, and he was known as the Buddha after awakening. Many people found their emancipation after becoming the Buddha's followers. He sat under a type of fig tree and meditated, got enlightenment, and centuries after centuries, the fig tree which he sat under became sacred among some of the followers. King Ashoka patronized Buddhism. Under his patronage, the Third Buddhist Council held and sent the Buddhist missions to 9 different countries, wherever in India and countries belonging to the region now known as South and Southeast Asia. With the advices of the oldest Buddhist monk at that time, Pindula Bharadwaja, the emperor introduced the ceremony of bathing the Bodhi tree. Due to Third Buddhist Council, Buddhist monks Arahat Mahinda, who was the son of Emperor Ashoka, did the mission to Thambapani, now known as Sri Lanka, and 7 months after the mission, his daughter and Venerable Mahinda's sister, Buddhist nun Sangamitta, brought a southern branch sapling from the original Bodhi tree from Gaya region in India.
These things were never meant to be worship. Only, even y'all should say, only the Father is worthy of worship. So I got this. I'm going to be using some things from AI. Some of them are going to be falsehoods, but some of them are going to be true. And we're just going to look at it through the lens of the word and the lens of the truth. It says in the King James Version of the Bible, worship in the groves referred to the pagan practices of idol worship that took place in wooded areas, often under trees, considered sacred to various deities. This was strictly forbidden to the Israelites as it was seen as a form of idolatry and disobedience to the Most High. Key points about worship in the groves. Okay, meaning groves represent a cluster of trees where people would gather to worship false gods, often associated with Canaanite deities like Baal and Ashtoreth. Now, we've been over Baal and Ashtoreth a million times on this channel. I do ask, if you have not heard of Baal, what it represents in the scriptures is very important, because it's basically the evil one. It's the adversary, is Hushatan, and they've been worshiping him throughout the generations, throughout different religions under different names. And Ashtaroth is basically the female counterpart. This is the Queen of Heaven. This is the Mary worship that the Catholic Church, when they whitewash Mary and put up Mary statues, and then they, make these great big, I don't know, performances when they praying that's the Queen of Heaven. They're actually playing. It's Ishtar, Inanna. She goes by many names. Okay, so let's keep it moving. So the biblical references here. It says you can find numerous mentions of groves in the Old Testament, particularly in books like Judges Kings and Jeremiah, where it is often condemned as a practice that angered the Most High. It's not often condemned, it's always condemned. You see how they throw that often? And I'm going to show you why, like, they're using this AI thing to mess with your searches. That's why you got to search what the AI is saying. The AI ain't nothing but Google, and Google ain't always right. Sometimes you got to go through and see the propaganda from the facts. You got to separate the two. It says here why it was forbidden. The Israelites were commanded to worship only the one true power, and worshiping in groves was seen as a form of idol worship. Worshiping which in the front of trees was seen as idol worship, involving rituals. Again, involving rituals. You have a ritual that you're doing when you celebrate Christmas. It's not just something that just, oh, no, we just made it. It's a ritual specifically to another deity. It is the sun god specifically. But it says, and offerings to other gods. So let's get to 2 Kings. Let's get to one of those examples. 2 Kings 17:10. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill and under every green tree. Green tree. You got to understand that. Again, plants are good things. Not bashing plants. I'm bashing the idol worship when it comes to dealing with nature. Paul says this in Romans 1, how they worship the creation and not the creator. Part of that is the evergreen, is the evergreen tree. Okay. Because they were nature worshipers. So this is why when the winter came, they would bring the trees, they would bring the holly, they would bring the evergreens into their homes to preserve the nature that they were worshiping. It wasn't just about having, having flowers that your dude got you, or just, sprucing up the place with some plants. It was about worshiping these things, man. I want to put the emphasis on that. I don't want nobody throwing plants out their house. Oh, G said, no, I didn't say that. Okay, so let's keep it moving. But let's get to this pick here. So let's get to the Hebrew Strong so you understand. Okay, it says sacred pillars here. And you see pillar, Matchabah, the stump, with an altar. You see here it says green. Okay, green. So I highlighted some words that you see it's talking about green, fresh, luxuriant, fresh. Because they didn't, the dead trees and how nature died in the winter, that was like their god, quote unquote, dying. So they were saving their idolatry during the winter by bringing it in the house. And here it says usage. The Hebrew word ranan or ra'anan is used to describe something that is green, fresh green, or flourishing. It often refers to vegetation such as trees or plants that are thriving and full of life. The term conveys a sense of vitality and abundance, often symbolizing prosperity and blessing. Like in the scriptures, when Israel was doing well, and even before, in the ancient, the Most High would bless the land with rain, a good harvest. That was a blessing, the first rain and the latter rains. However, when Israel was wicked, he would have what? He would have droughts. Okay, he would have droughts. So that's what that's saying. Okay, so cultural and historical background. I think it says here, the agrarian society of ancient Israel, the imagery of green, flourishing plants was a powerful symbol of life, prosperity, divine blessing. Again, that's what it's saying here. The land's fertility was seen as a direct result of the Most High's favor, and the flourishing of vegetation was a sign of his provision. The imagery is frequently used in the Hebrew Bible to describe the ideal state of the land and the people when they are in right relationship with the Father. This is the land of milk and honey. This is prosperity, okay? But in a righteous way, though. You dig what I'm saying? That's what that's saying. So, and just to go a little bit into history, when you think about the slaves, when you think about the indigenous black tribes that were here, that taught the so-called white man how to farm and till the land. Think about it, family. We've been dealing with green. We've been dealing with growing vegetation and farming and sharecropping. This is who we are. The nation that conquered us didn't know how to do that. So doesn't that show you that the people that conquered us aren't the people that they're claiming that they are? Do you see what I'm saying? We were the ones that was dealing with the land even until this day. Okay, so let's get to the word tree here. It says tree, wood, timber, stock, plant, stalk, trees, wood. Here, firewood. When you're burning the Yule log isn't just something you throw in the fireplace. It's part of a sacrifice too, family. It's part of a sacrifice too. I'm gonna get into it because the holidays that people are following around this time of year, I waited till afterwards to do this video. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do it like back to back, but praise the Most High and His timing, because people are too much in the days to even see what they're doing is idolatry. And we're going to go through the scriptures and show more, and even into the history. We're going to go into the Britannica, all this stuff to show that these practices that people do around this time of year are absolutely 100% idolatry. Jeremiah 2:19 through 20. It said, your own evil will discipline you. Your own apostasies will reprimand you. Consider and realize how evil and bitter it is for you to forsake the Lord your God and to have no fear of me, declares the Most High Power of hosts. For long ago you broke your yoke and tore off your chains, saying, I will not serve. Indeed, on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down as a prostitute. The kids are sitting here in the morning and running downstairs or running down, to the living room and bowing down to get those gifts. I'm telling you, this is what he's talking about here. It's a form of it. It's not the only form of it, but what they're doing is a form of it. Okay? Because when you look at it, what does it say? Apostasies will reprimand you. Your own evil will discipline you. When you're doing these holidays, do you see other families feeling good about each other? I swear people will say I'm crazy and prove me right in the same breath. And I tell them I don't celebrate. Oh, well, why don't you celebrate? Oh, well, it's about family. It's about family. I'm like, really? So you don't hear from your family all year until Thanksgiving and or Christmas? You don't hear from them all year. I thought it was about family. Y'all can't meet any other time? Y'all don't call any other time? Y'all don't do each other any other time? And then when y'all do see each other on Thanksgiving, when you do see each other on Christmas, what you doing? You fighting? You arguing? You're bickering with one another. Oh yeah, she brought the kids. She want that funny. Yeah, and they be like, yeah, man, that's true. And then the next day they'll be like, oh, so you really don't celebrate? And then when they come back from the holiday, they tell me about all the drama. You can't make it up, man. So we're gonna talk about some of the evil, because they're like, okay, it's a Christmas tree, you're decorating. I know I got people saying that in their head. Oh, it's a Christmas tree, you tripping, man? It's just presents. And so you think, like, why do you think everybody's doing this though? You think this stuff came from nowhere? Let's read, man. The Witches of Hollywood. Okay, a documentary examines the witch archetype in Hollywood cinema from the 1930s to the present day. Look at who owns Hollywood. The documentary explores how the witch archetype is linked to social history of female power. Now, this is where it gets the ladies off course. This is where it gets them specifically off course. When you think about Hollywood and you think about the images that are shown, you think about Disney, you think about all these subliminals they put in movies, you think about all this propaganda that they put in movies. Isn't it not tearing our families apart? But they'll promote these holidays at the same time. But holidays are supposed to be about family. Doesn't it seem like an oxymoron? Because they're getting you to come together to do evil on these holidays. That's why they want you and your family together. Crazy as that sound. Let's go to the movie The Craft. The movie made an effort to accurately portray witches by hiring a real-life Wiccan priestess to write incantations for the script. I'm telling y'all, in some of these movies, because y'all know I expose Satanism like crazy. People think I'm promoting it. No, I'm exposing it. If you watch the video, you know what I'm saying? But in Satanism, what they do is they try to make it look normal. They try to make it look like it's just something. You know, you got these people talking about root work. All these black folks talking about root work. Y'all don't really know what that is. See, a lot of people that wear the Egyptian, you know, eye and the horse and the ankh and all that. A lot of these people just doing it because all the celebrities doing it and the cool crowd is doing it. They haven't really experienced that. They haven't really dealt with somebody who's really doing witchcraft. Because I'm telling you, not like I've done it, but I've seen people that do that stuff. That stuff is absolutely real. It's absolutely wicked. Hollywood, and I'm gonna go here after I read the Maleficent. Hollywood was made to do witchcraft on everybody. That's his original form. That's why you notice when people start to follow the scriptures and start to follow Christ, they leave Hollywood. When people say I woke up from Hollywood, they have to leave Hollywood. So what is Hollywood? You wake up from what? A spell. You wake up from a spell.
Let's look at Genesis chapter 3 to find the theme of the evolution of man to godhood. Remember, the serpent was in the Garden of Eden and he was tempting Eve, the first woman. And this is what he said. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Manly Hall refers to this in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and refers to it as, quote, the mystery of human evolution, and speaks of the process as turning, quote, man into the estate of gods. There's an increasingly popular notion out there spreading around right now that's popular among biologists, scientists, futurists, philosophers. It's a term called transhumanism. It is the idea that humanity is going to elevate himself above what he is right now. There are other terms for this. Homonexus, which means the joining of man with a sort of a higher level, the evolution of man to a new level. Another term for this, Homo evolutus, which basically means that, and all of this concept revolves around the idea that mankind is about ready to enter his next stage of evolution. And that stage is going to be based upon the ability of man right now, scientifically, to either alter or allow the alteration of his DNA. DNA, the book of life itself. This brings us to the Jewish mystic symbol of the Sephiroth. It is often referred to as the tree of life, and many Masonic and Jewish authors refer to it as a symbol for the divine man. The Sephiroth contains 10 circles. These represent the 10 kings spoken of by Daniel and by the Apostle John. These 10 circles are joined together by 22 paths. These paths are representatives of the 22 amino acids that are formed in the DNA of mankind. It is these amino acids that form gene sequences and that determine who we are as a species.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and you won't just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you had fun. The near and the
there at the end. No,
I said happy holiday. As the character.
Well, I don't choose these things. I am chosen by the Christmas witch. She appeared to me in a dream, and I just knew I had to get her story out.
So this was not a lifelong dream that you wanted to write a children's book about this character.
No,
she just appeared to you in a dream.
In a hallucination late at night.
And the book comes out today?
Today!
I curse you all! I curse you to have a happy holiday!
Took a little turn there at the end. No,
I said happy holiday!
Okay, there you go. Aubrey Plaza, thank you.
Let's get the Maleficent. It says from the 1959 animated film Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent is portrayed as the ultimate personification of pure evil, and it was made to look glamorous. They make evil look glamorous and rich. They don't make evil bums. Y'all notice that? They don't make movies about evil bums sleeping in the gutter. It's always the evil CEO and the evil, you know, millionaire, billionaire, captain of industry. But Hollywood, it says here, speaking on Hollywood, it says sacred symbol to the ancient Druids of Hollywood. The name Hollywood derives from the term holly tree or wood, a sacred symbol to ancient Druids, witches and wizards who use its branches to craft their magic wands for casting spells. Like it said that they had real Wiccans write incantations on the script. In Harry Potter, they had real people writing, real witches rather, and what they call them dudes that the medicine men, the male witch, what they call a shaman. They had real shaman writings and spells in Harry Potter. Did y'all know that? Somebody put me on game to that, and I looked it up, and they absolutely did. You can go look up shamans doing their thing and look up that scene that they say Harry Potter did. It's the same thing. So when your kids watching that, and they're, oh yeah, Harry Potter, and they're running around saying this stuff, then you wonder why years later they're dealing with root work. Years later, they're dealing with the Ankh. They're dealing with ancient Egypt and praying the stars. And you know, we are lost. We're lost in the sea without a paddle. But let me finish reading. It says a good example would be Merlin from the King Arthur saga, whose wand is made of hollywood. So when people are decorating their houses with holly, watching these Xmas movies from Hollywood, so-called Christ movies from Hollywood, is there anything biblical in there? We're going to see, because the Most High talking about people worshiping wood. You see how it's starting to connect, falling and laying out in front of trees, like Buddha and them. Let's keep reading. So the wands they were made were originally of Hollywood. It says Harry Potter's wand is another example. Unbeknownst to most, the spell casting continues to this day in the form of subliminal messaging. I didn't write this. This was online. In the form of subliminal messaging, Luciferian symbolism, and social engineering. Whether you like it or not, Hollywood is completely controlled by dark occultists. Do you see why I don't be caping for these Hollywood celebrities? What did it say? Completely. This is from ACADEMIA.EDU. They did a whole study in academia. I mean, it's a fact. This is why I'm not surprised. I look at my catalog, and I'm not all praise to the Most High. I'm not bragging on me. Look at my catalog where I'm showing, I could show somebody a video. I could say, yeah, you know, so-and-so was doing this and doing that. Oh, nah, man, they had good actor, man. I watched stuff. I'm like, I ain't saying they ain't no good actor, but they on this file stuff. They said or did this. Nah, man, people just be saying stuff. I'll pull up the clip on my phone like, hey, man, check this out. I'll show them on my phone exactly what I just said he did, showed him saying it or doing or her or whatever. They'll be like, yeah, man. Well, people say a lot of things. Like they'll say something so crazy. Like I'm like, what are you talking about? People do. I just showed you what he did. You see what I'm saying? People are worshiping these stars. It's a reason that they have a star walk of Hollywood. I'm telling y'all, it's their idols too. Trust and believe. So we're gonna get to the next section here. Christmas Tree Origins, Nimrod and Semiramis, because that's where it all started. When the Most High split the languages, is where it all started, which is why he split the languages, because they were building the Tower of Babel. Everybody wanted, which was the first original world order. Now we have the new world order that they're trying to build and get these nations to war, World War III, and after World War III and everything's decimated, hey, let's just come together and have peace. That's why I say it's going to be a false peace coming. And when you got brothers like myself and Watchmen telling people, hey, man, don't believe in this peace, don't believe, we're going to look like haters. We're gonna look like, oh, we just want to be go against the grain, as they tell me. Oh, you just want to go against the grain. I'm telling y'all, you got to watch for the hook, man. So let's get to Christmas tree origins. So after Nimrod's death, Semiramis promoted the belief that he was a god. Okay, there was Semiramis and Nimrod. Semiramis was both his mother and his wife. So when you see these son husbands and stuff like that online, again, there's nothing new under the sun. And yes, there's stories where they would, where they do the incest thing. So let's get to it. It says, she claimed that an evergreen tree grew from a dead stump, symbolizing Nimrod's new life. So an extra biblical text, though they are canon, but you know, the Catholic and the Protestant Christian Church removed these texts. You can find them mentioned, like the book of Jasher, mentioned twice in text, stuff like that. What you'll find is that there's a story. I'm just gonna kind of condense it. Nimrod, again, with the mother wife, he was out hunting. He was a great hunter. He was a great hunter, a ruler, leader. He at that time of Babylon, Nimrod was hunting and was killed. Okay, and when he was killed, he died, they said, on a stump, a tree stump, where somebody cut down a tree. Said he died on a tree stump. His red blood went into the tree, representing the earth, the green, and the tree sprouted up the next day. Okay, and when it sprouted up the next day, they said this is his resurrection. But I'm gonna read from this though. I'm gonna let y'all know that this is where it all came from, the winter solstice. And this is why when you look at all the cultures around the world, most of them, except the Islamic culture, but I gotta put an asterisk by that, because they don't celebrate it, but they'll damn sure have a holiday sale. I've seen it, even this year. I've seen it where you don't celebrate, and your whole thing, quote unquote, is the removing of paganism with who they call a prophet. His whole thing was removing the paganism, but you're making money off of a holiday that you know is pagan. That's what I'm saying. The whole world is going to worship the beast. Y'all follow me? So, okay, so that she claimed that an evergreen tree grew from a dead stump, symbolizing Nimrod's new life. On the anniversary of his birth, she said, Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts under it. Will he give gifts under the tree? This is where it all started, y'all. This is the ancient pagan satanic feast. It's Christmas, satanic holiday. His birthday fell on the winter solstice at the end of December. This is why people are in a spell until the fake New Year hits. Then they're, oh man, I got to get back to work. I got to get back to this. Back, oh, my money funny. Oh, this and that. Yeah, because you've been preparing for this ritual for a whole month. From November 28th, 27th, or whatever, up until January 1, it's a giant ritual. It really starts on the December 25th, and then by the 1st, they kind of snap out of it. That's why I hope this video touches the people that have snapped out of it. I'm glad that I had to fight with Netflix for a week. His birthday fell. Okay. His birthday fell on the winter solstice at the end of December. The evergreen tree symbolized that Nimrod come back to life in Tammuz. If you read Ezekiel 8:25, you learn about a virgin birth of a god that was Tammuz. Because what happened was his mother wife Semiramis, she actually participated in an occultic mansion party orgy. And that's a thing where the priestess would be like at the altar, and the priest would have their way with her. and she would have a baby, and the baby would be born. They would do this in the spring, like around March. 9 months later, in December, the baby would be born. 3 months later, they would sacrifice it on the altar again in March. That's where the woman's egg and the painting it. That's where it's about the baby deletion. Sacrificing kids to the fire, the Molech. We call it Planned Parenthood today. Nothing new under the sun. I'm gonna keep telling y'all that. So when she gave birth again, the reason why I'm saying that, when she gave birth again, she was saying it was him that he came back from the dead and impregnated her. That's what I mean. Look, I know it sounds crazy. That's what she said. And this goes deeper into the type of stuff that was going on. But it was like necromancy and all type of spiritisms. It's wild, man. I ain't gonna hold you, but it's wild. It says the Christmas tree triangular shape is said to represent the Trinity. The tree became a symbol of Christ and new life. That's the hook. That's the hook. Number one, there's no word Trinity in the Bible. It's called Godhead. Oh, Godhead, Trinity, same. No, it's not the same thing. You look at every pagan religion, there's a Trinity. IHS. The Catholic Church walks around with IHS on the big sun symbol. That's Isis, Horus, and Set. You go to all these religions, these Eastern religions, they all have a Trinity. The Most High calls it a Godhead for a reason. Because it's not like the other ones. You understand what I'm saying? This is the whole thing, trying to Christianize and trying to biblicize paganism into being holy. It puts you in the mind state of saying, of a husband saying, I'm going to have an affair in the name of my wife. I'm going to go have an affair in the name of my wife. Or I'm going to steal money from my employer. Let's say you work at the bank. I'm going to steal in the name of the bank. You're going completely against the bank's rule, completely against the covenant. You see what I'm saying? That's what these holidays are. When you celebrating them, you're worshiping other gods and saying you're doing it in Christ's name. 2 Corinthians 6:14-17. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? These people that come up here and say, oh, well, I'm not celebrating, but I am going to buy a couple things for my family. Some sales going on. I guess I'll put up a tree, but I mean, I'm just putting up a tree. And I guess I get up early on December 25th and, have some time with the family, and they open up gifts, and that night we'll eat a holiday ham. But I'm not celebrating, though. You sound dumb as hell, man. You have lost your damn mind. I'm telling you, you've lost your damn mind. That's like me saying, well, I'm just going to go to Chippendales and apply. I don't want to work there like as a stripper or nothing, but, I'm just going to apply, and I'm going to come there with some, what they call the Man Daisy Dukes on, and I'm just going to wear some tight clothes, and I might, pop lock to a couple songs, but I ain't going to be stripping. I might take a couple of my clothes off, but I might get some dolls off the floor, but I ain't no stripper. You see how dumb that sounds? You're doing the same thing. What's the difference between what you're doing and what somebody that can't wait to celebrate this day is doing? What's the difference? There's no difference. So it goes on to say, and what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with the infidel? That's why my brothers and sisters, like I said, they be shadow banning me and whatnot, and they'll find my page and they'll be like, oh, yo, dang, okay, cool, you still doing your thing, because you'd be surprised how many people find this truth, understand this truth, and they go back into the world. This is the parable of the seeds that Christ was talking about. The seed that grows up and the thorns choke it, the cares of this world, the wants of riches. This is what he was talking about. So you don't have no fellowship with these wicked days if you really walking. You got all year to see your family. I want to hear about family. You have all year. All year. You're going to come see them while they're doing a ritual. So that's like, again, my cousin Rob Banks. I don't have a cousin Rob Banks, but you let my cousin Rob Banks. I know he robbed banks. I know this is how he gets down. I know he got all types of financial schemes and everything. I'm going to go to his house as he's celebrating and having a party. What do you think going to happen when the feds kick in the door? And they got me on camera going to his house. He buying me gifts. I know he's doing something that we shouldn't be doing by the law. What do you think gonna happen? I'm gonna get indicted too. They gonna pull me down too. Like, let's not be stupid about this, man. Let me keep reading. And what agreement had the temple of the Most High with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God had said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, listen to this. Come out from among them and be ye separate. When I say I don't celebrate, oh man, you separate, man. Why you over there? Why don't you come club and party with us? Because I don't want to. Because I don't want to. Why? It's vanity anyway. You sitting there and you going out and you doing all this and buying gifts. Kids bad as hell, ain't learned nothing. You know what I'm saying? Significant other don't care. Y'all in there arguing, fighting. Y'all can't even spend a little bit of time together because you got to shop, get ready for the in-laws come over. Come on, man. Come on, man. And then you doing it a day when everybody's doing it, so it's crowds, it's traffic. I'm going to get more of that at the end. But it says here, be ye separate. I'm separate from that. It's like tonight. Tonight is the so-called New Year's Eve. We're going to get into that too. I'm exposing it on the day, family. I'm exposing on the day. Vanity. I'm separate. I'm not out. Well, like it's at work. What I'm going to do? Man, home with my kids, man. I'm putting in the work. All praises to a higher, man. I'm putting in the work. Not worried about what they doing out there. They don't even know what they doing. You know not what you worship. You don't even know what you're doing. You never looked into why are we doing it this day? Who made it this day? Why are we doing these things on these days? I guarantee I got to tell somebody, bring a Christmas tree in your house in February. Look how crazy people look at you. Because it ain't time for the ritual yet. It says, be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. I'm trying to be received, man. And I found out what's going on in the world is fleeing. The Egyptians used evergreens as a part of their celebration of their god Ra. Nimrod, known in Egypt as Osiris, was the founder of the first world empire at Babel, later known as Babylon. From ancient sources such as the Epic of Gilgamesh and records unearthed by archaeologists, this isn't just YouTube babble. This isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't BHI doctrine. This is facts. Records unearthed by archaeologists from long-ruined Mesopotamian and Egyptian cities, we can reconstruct subsequent events. During the Middle Ages, the paradise tree, which symbolized man's fall and salvation, became popular in churches. You see why I say the church be going off? Do I need to read that again? Let me read that again. During the Middle Ages, the paradise tree, which symbolized man's fall and salvation. What tree was the tree of good and evil? Doesn't that sound like fall and salvation? They're literally putting the tree of good and evil in the churches. But I'm off. Let me continue. Became popular in churches and upper class homes. Fir trees were hung with apples symbolizing man's fall. Just like people walk around wearing a cross. Why are you wearing a cross? See this here's a lion. You dig? Shout out to my family, man. This here's a lion. Why would you walk around with a symbol of death on you? Knowing that you know, now that you know better, why would you walk around with that on? The sacrifice is how you walk, not the literal thing he was sacrificed on, which he was sacrificed on the tree. But that's a conversation for another time. But it says fir trees were hung with apples symbolizing man's fall. It says small white wafers representing the holy Eucharist, and sweets symbolizing the sweetness of redemption. How are you going to Christianize something that was for Baal and Nimrod, man? Well, Nimrod is Ra, Osiris, Nimrod, Baal, potato. This is different names. So this is called The History of the Christmas Tree by Susan Lee Anthony. You can see that on the WordPress. And, you know, again, there's sources for all this stuff. I'm just going to give you somewhat of a quick breakdown. So let's get to the North Star on the Christmas tree, because when they make the Christmas tree, the most important thing, they say the most important thing is the star that goes on top, right? And they call it the North Star. right? So it says a North Star Christmas tree topper is a decorative ornament that can be used to represent the Star of Bethlehem. Hear what they say. They said that that North Star is the Star of Bethlehem. What they're relaying it to is Christ, but they're calling it the North Star, a symbol, a central symbol in the Christian story of Jesus' birth. That's what they say that the North Star represents, Bethlehem and the Christian story, not the biblical story, the Christian story. Let's get to Matthew 2:2. It says, now when Yasha, it says Jesus there, but when Yasha was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the what? From the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Yehudi? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Not the north, the east. Let's read Genesis, okay, where he talks about stars and what they are, because stars are also a representation of angels. You understand? Including the fallen angel. Let me read Genesis 1:16. The Most High made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. That's the sun and the moon, respectively. And he made the stars as well. We get the G798, okay? Lightning, brightness, radiance. It says usage. The Hebrew word kokab refers to a star or celestial being. In the biblical context, it is often used to describe the physical stars in the sky, as well as metaphorically represent the angels or significant figures. The term can also symbolize guidance, divine creation, and the vastness of a highest universe. So let's get here, because we're going to talk about a star that had fallen. When you read the scripture in Isaiah, because it talks about a star that's fallen from heaven, right?
Vials, thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High.
Fallen, okay? This is in Isaiah 14:12. It calls Lucifer the what? The morning star, all right? And it says here what? Visible heavens. It says abode of the stars as the visible sky. So it's saying something is fallen. It says, O morning star. Who is the morning star? Let's read. Lucifer, light bearer, shining one, king of Babylon, Nimrod. You see why I say Nimrod, Lucifer, Ra, Osiris? They're all the devil. They're all the devil. Hallel, this is, let me see right here, it says Hallel. This is where the hallelujah, they get the Hallel. Hallel means bragging one. That's why I don't say it. I don't knock those that say it, because I know what they mean. But for me, knowing what I know and looking into this, the word halal was talking about bragging. What was Lucifer known for? Bragging. He was beautiful. The devil, he wasn't ugly. That's why it says he comes like as an angel of light, as everything that you want. This is why we got to have discernment, family. Okay, so that's in the verse where it was calling him the morning star. So when you see the Paramount Pictures, when the stars are dropping in and swooping in and they circle around that mountain is Mount Hermon or Mount Olympia. It's two representation, but it's the same thing. When the stars fell, when the 200 angels fell, Satan swept out a third of the angels. That means he wasn't the only one that fell. He was just the leader. When the stars fell, when the 200 angels fell, Satan swept out a third of the angels. That means he wasn't the only one that fell. He was just the leader. So when people are worshiping stars, when they're worshiping astrology, I'm gonna get into that later. When they're oh, I'm a Gemini. Oh, well, I'm Aquarius. Oh, well, I'm an Aries. I'm an Aries. I'm Asparagus. I'm this. I'm that. I'm woo. You're worshiping stars. You're basing your life on stars that have nothing to do with your life. It's a form of worship. Yes, it is. But when you see the stars swoop in and they circle around, that's the fuck. They're Hollywood occultists. Do you see that the merging of them, right? So let's get to Isaiah 14 and 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also in the mount of the congregation. The mountain. What is it? What's the last thing he says? In the sides of the north star. The North Star is Lucifer. Christ is the east. He's the east. This is why when you see the Satanists rocking the 5-pointed star, it represents the 5 things that Satan said. And the last thing was to be what? The star on the sides of the North Star. So, and this isn't talking about the North Star that people use with a compass to gather. That's not. I'm talking about he wants to be above the Most High. So basically, when people are saying, I don't want to follow the Father, I have my own way, I'm going to keep putting up these trees, I'm going to put the North Star on it, decorated with gold and silver, you are also exalting yourself. You might as well write this on your sleeve. You're doing the same thing. 2 Timothy 3:7-9. Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. People will sing in the choir till they pass out. They'll type long paragraphs about Christ and what it represents. I seen some crazy stuff. But it says, now as James and Jambres resisted Moses, because Moses was telling them to do what? Moses wrote the law, the Torah, the do's and do not do's, and the holy days. We got days to celebrate, the holy days. But they don't want to do that. So they resisted Moses telling them this. So do these also resist the truth. Not resist me, not resist the doctrine that quote unquote certain people are running with. No, you're resisting what the Bible says. And men of corrupt minds disapprove concerning the faith. You're not in the faith. You may believe, I believe. Well, the devils believe and tremble. It's not he that believes, it's he that does the will. Is Christmas the will of the Most High? Keep asking as we go on. But they will progress no further, for their folly will be manifest to all, as theirs also was. It's not holy. Nothing about Christmas is holy. Nothing about it is biblical. Nothing about it is in the scriptures. They never put up a Christmas tree before Christ or after Christ, as far as the people in the Bible. That was a heathen custom to worship a heathen God. But just like the forefathers said back then, the people say today, we will worship as the heathen around us. And where has it gotten us, family? Have we got any better from keeping these days? That's what I want to ask too. Have we got any better? And people don't care because they want to be like the heathen. They don't want freedom. They want to accept it.
Imagine you're walking through the bustling streets of ancient Rome on a crisp December day. The air is alive with the sounds of laughter, music, and the clatter of dice being tossed on cobblestones. Homes are adorned with garlands of greenery, and the scent of roasted meats and spiced wine drifts from every direction. It's a city transformed, formalities tossed aside, boundaries blurred, and joy spilling into every corner. For one glorious week, Rome's rigid social order melts away. Masters serve their slaves, gifts are exchanged with heartfelt goodwill, and the streets become a playground for revelry and togetherness. It's not just a celebration, it's a complete escape, a pause in the grind of daily life to honor an ancient god and embrace the ideals of equality, abundance, and renewal. This was Saturnalia, a festival so vibrant and beloved that echoes of it can still be felt in the way we celebrate today. But where did it come from? Why did it matter so much to the Romans? And how did its traditions help shape Christmas as we know it?
Celebrated in mid-December, was an ancient Roman festival dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture. The timing of the holiday close to the winter solstice, influenced many of the customs we now associate with Christmas, including the use of wreaths, the lighting of candles, festive feasts, and the tradition of exchanging gifts. What is Saturnalia? Saturnalia, the most celebrated holiday on the ancient Roman calendar, originated from earlier midwinter and winter solstice rituals, particularly those involving offerings or sacrifices to the gods during the winter planting season. The festival honored Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture and time, and initially lasted just one day. However, by the late Republic, 133 to 31 BC, it had grown into a week-long celebration starting on December 17th. During this period, the winter solstice, according to the Julian calendar used by the Romans, occurred on December 25th. How the Romans celebrated Saturnalia. During Saturnalia, all work and business activities ceased. Schools and courts were closed, and the usual social order was upended. Homes were adorned with wreaths and greenery, and people exchanged their traditional togas for bright, colorful clothing known as synthesis. Even enslaved people were given a break from labor and were allowed to join in the festivities. In some instances, they were even served by their masters at the dining table. Instead of working, Romans engaged in gambling, singing, playing music, feasting, socializing, and exchanging gifts. Wax taper candles, known as cerae, were popular gifts during Saturnalia, symbolizing the return of light after the winter solstice. The final day of Saturnalia, called the Sigillaria, was marked by the exchange of small terracotta figurines known as signallaria, which possibly harkened back to older rituals involving human sacrifice. Saturnalia was considered the most joyful of Roman holidays, with the poet Catullus famously calling it the best of times. The festivities were so lively that the Roman author Pliny reportedly constructed a soundproof room to work in during the noisy celebrations. Temple of Saturn and other Saturnalia customs. Built in the 4th century AD to replace an older temple, the Temple of Saturn in Rome became the focal point of the later Saturnalia festivities. The celebrations often began with the public sacrifice of a young pig at the temple, which stood in the northwest corner of the Roman Forum. The temple housed a statue of Saturn, whose feet were traditionally bound with woolen cords. During Saturnalia, these bonds were loosened, symbolizing the god's temporary liberation. In many Roman households, a mock king, known as the Saturnalicius Princeps, or leader of Saturnalia, was appointed. Often a lower-ranking member of the household, this figure was tasked with creating mischief, mocking guests, wearing outlandish clothing, and engaging in playful antics.
Christmas is all about. You hear that, boy? That's what Christmas is all about.
Actually, Granddad, Christmas is a pagan holiday, and Jesus probably hates you for celebrating it.
There ain't gonna be no Scrooges in this house, boy.
Look, Granddad, it's clear from the scripture that Jesus was not born in winter. The shepherds who saw the angels announcing his birth would not have been out in their fields in December. The Palestinian winters are too cold, if you believe in that sort of thing. The truth is, Christmas evolved from the Roman holiday Saturnalia, a winter festival where men gave gifts to each other. They also would get drunk, have sex with each other, and beat their wives. People would act so crazy on Christmas, the holiday was outlawed by the Protestant Church until the 1800s. As a matter of fact, the United States Congress... Granddad? Granddad!
I'm sorry, boy. What was that?
I just explained the entire history of Christmas.
But it was boring, Huey. You just blah, blah, gay sex, blah, blah, Congress. You know, you gotta be interesting.
Hey, Sheldon, are you and Leonard putting up a Christmas tree?
No, because we don't celebrate the ancient pagan festival of Saturnalia.
Saturn.
In the pre-Christian era, as the winter solstice approached and the plants died, pagans brought evergreen boughs into their homes as an act of sympathetic magic intended to guard the life essences of the plants until spring. This custom was later appropriated by Northern Europeans, and eventually it becomes the so-called Christmas tree.
And that, Charlie Brown, is what boredom is all about.
Pagan lore. Pagan lore. Yeah. See, they used meadowsweet for human sacrifice. It was kind of like a chum for their gods. Gods were drawn to it, and they'd stop by and snack on whatever was nearest human.
Why would somebody be using that for Christmas trees?
No, it's not as crazy as it sounds, Dean. I mean, pretty much every Christmas tradition is pagan.
Christmas is Jesus' birthday.
No, Jesus' birthday was probably in the fall. It was actually the winter solstice festival that was co-opted by the church and renamed Christmas. But I mean, the Yule log, the tree, even Santa's red suit, that's all remnants of pagan worship.
If you knew that, you tell me next, Easter Bunny's Jewish?
So you think we're dealing with a pagan god? Yeah, probably holding a car, god of the winter solstice.
And all these Martha Stewart wannabes buying his fancy wreaths.
Yeah, it's pretty much like putting a neon sign on your front door saying, "Come kill us."
Great.
Huh.
Understand why her family just won't accept her choice.
Dear Dr. Phil, my family is so mad at me about my views on certain holidays. I am tired of defending my stance on not celebrating Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, and Halloween to my family, especially my sister Akia. 8 years ago, I realized the truth behind these hell days, and now my family ridicules me about my choice not to celebrate or let my 6-year-old daughter celebrate either. First of all, according to my research, Christmas is a pagan holiday. Jesus wasn't even born on the 25th of December. Easter is another pagan holiday. Thanksgiving? Great, let's celebrate the slaughter of Native Americans. Valentine's Day is a purely sexual holiday, and Halloween is worshiping the dead. Christ would really appreciate that.
I have friends who do not celebrate Christmas because they say December 25th is really a pagan holiday. While I agree that Jesus may not have been born on December 25th, he certainly was born as described in the Bible. How do I respond to them?
Well, in a sense, tell them they're right. You see, the winter solstice a couple of days later was the shortest day of the year, and the pagans had something called Saturnalia. And it was a time of lawlessness because all the laws were suspended. And people, a bunch of singers actually wandered the streets naked singing. And then they had orgies, sexual orgies. It was a mass thing. Well, when the Catholic Church came along in Italy, the Romans and others didn't want to give up their holidays. So they said, okay, we'll Christianize it. And so they said, okay, we'll say the birth of Jesus was the 25th of December. And then there was a monk who began to add it up. You see, if you read in Luke, it says there's a census taken when Quirinius was governor and so forth and so on. And they could take those leaders and figure the exact time dating from the foundation of Rome. And that's when the dates were established. And so they get pretty close to the date. But to say it's the 25th, shepherds were out abiding in the field. It gets a little cold at night. I mean, were they out there in the middle of winter? You know, I don't know. I've been out there on the shepherd's field on Christmas Eve. It's very nice. But it's cold. And nevertheless, I mean, what was going on? So all this business about mistletoe, pagan. Christmas trees, pagan. Giving out gifts, pagan. Every bit of it is pagan. Every single bit of it is pagan. We've Christianized it all. And so that's good. And so
December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolized the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized, for the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, Australis, constellation. And after this time on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring, into the northern hemisphere, bringing spring, and thus salvation. However, they did not celebrate the resurrection of the sun until the spring equinox, or Easter. This is because at the spring equinox, the sun officially overpowers the evil darkness, as daytime thereafter becomes longer in duration than the night.
Santa, Elf, and Reindeer Origins. So you see the pick here. We're going to blast through this one. So Santa's basically he's based on Olde. Okay. And this is from ecpubliclibrary.info/Santa's Olde. So Santa Claus, he flies around in December for Christmas to bring gifts to good children. Odin, he flew around in December for Yuletide. And Yuletide and Christmas is the same thing. Yuletide is just a witch name for Christmas, which Christmas is a witch holiday originally. It was originally Yuletide. They changed it to Christmas. But it's to head off to the wild hunt. He knew who had been good and bad and hunted down or abducted those who deserved it. Sound familiar? Has 8 reindeer pulling a sleigh. Is the most visually iconic figure of Christmas, symbolizing giving quote-unquote joy and peace. Christ said he didn't come for bring peace but a sword. Oh, Christ and peace on earth. And they cried, oh, silent night and all. You have lost your damn mind, man. Where is this in the scriptures? Christ said the opposite. He said, I do what the Father does. Exodus 15:3, the Most High is a man of war. Christ said he came to bring a sword. The truth is a dividing factor. That's why people are scared to follow it, because they know that their life is going to change if they truly adhere to what the truth is. Odin had an 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, that pulled his sleigh, was the most iconic figure of Yuletide, a holiday that celebrated hospitality, feasting, and gift giving. So, are you Odin worshipers? Are you comfortable with that on your conscience? I mean, it's the truth. Appearance: before Coca-Cola popularized the jiggly, jolly Santa we all know today, Santa was depicted thin, as often as chubby, and usually donned brown, blue, or red robes. So if you look at the ancient Santas, they did have blue robes on. An appearance of Odin is often depicted wearing either blue or brown robes. So the elves has elves who make toys for children, elves and dwarves, which if you know about witchcraft, the elves and dwarves, they're nothing but demons. They're based on demons. Elves and dwarves, Christmas elves, seem to be an amalgamation of the two. They originate from Norse mythology and are known as amazing creators. So basically, like I said, man, it's mythology. Mythology is paganism. Yule was the witch holiday, was referred to as Yule Father. And if you look up Saint Nick met the devil. If you look up Saint Nick, that means the devil. And what they call him, Saint Nick, and call Father Christmas. And then this goes back to what Yasha said, what Christ said. Call no man on earth your father. That includes the Pope and these two fools right here. It's not talking about your dad. It's talking about honoring these people in earth as God, the true Father of all mankind. But let's get it. So you see the pick here of Black Pete. And this is one shout out to you brothers and sisters out here that seem to want to just be stiff-necked behind this stuff, as if, just ignoring it and just celebrating is going to take away from what it's based on. So the Black Pete character it comes from Blackface. They do a lot of blackface up there. But it says Zwart Piet in Dutch is a fictional helper of Sinterklaas, and in Dutch is called Sinterklaas, the Dutch version of Saint Nicholas. According to Helene Adeline Guerber and other historians, the origin of Sinterklaas and his helpers have been linked by some to the wild hunt of Odin, While riding with the white horse, Selfner, he flew through the air as leader of the wild hunt. Again, Nimrod, hunter. It's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. I'm telling you. In medieval iconography, Saint Nicholas is sometimes presented as taming a chained demon who may or may not be black. That demon is the Black Pete. And if you notice, family, and somebody pointed this out to me years ago, when you look at whenever they, especially like the old Disney, maybe not too much the new, when you look at their depiction of bad characters, the bad guy, like Scar from Lion King, or who Jafar from Aladdin, they were like more dark skinned than the hero. So you notice they depict black as bad, right? So Zwart Piet and his equivalents in Germanic Europe were originally presented as one or more enslaved demons. Enslaved demons. They enslaved us and then said we were what? We were bad. We're the worst of the worst. We're savages, right? Enslaved demons forced to assist their captor. Doesn't it sound like something you heard of before? These chained and fire-scorched demons may have been redeveloped as black-skinned humans during the early 19th century in the Netherlands in the likeness of Moors who work as servants for Saint Nicholas. The Moors were black people. The Blackamoors were black people that ruled Europe. So once the so-called white man took over Europe, the Moors, the art of the Moors that was made and created was made to look like blackface. Thus, you see Zwart Piet. Santa Claus songs, Santa Claus songs and stories also warn that a child who has been only slightly naughty will receive a bundle of birch twig and a lump of coal instead of gifts. So coal, more black, right? Y'all got to peep game with this, man. This is symbolism on a whole nother level. But this is where the elves come from. Enslaved. First enslaved demons, then they moved them to elves. And you notice, again, blacks are the butt of the joke. Once again, but you got Negroes on Facebook talking about they in a Christmas spirit. After, I'm not talking about saying that ignorantly, not knowing, I'm talking about when people like myself are telling them like, hey man, we don't celebrate these pagan holidays, and they're like, whatever, Merry Christmas. They want the ignorance. I want you to understand that, like it says in Revelations 9 and 20, they continue to worship devils. No matter all this crazy stuff that's going on, the guy Robert Brooks being beat down and to death, not even being beat down, being beat to death. Sonia being shot in her kitchen. No matter how much this happens, we will not let go of our oppressors' days. And these days fuel the same system, the same people that wouldn't hire us to work for their corporations. Or we'll have to work twice as hard to get a job there. Let's get to Ezekiel 22 and 5. Those that be near and those that be far from thee shall mock thee, which are infamous and much vexed. Again, I ask, when they say, oh, you're not the people, that had nothing to do with it. Color is color. It doesn't matter. I be getting these kind of comments. Who else is mocked worldwide? Because you can't mock the people that say that they're the people of the book and that are in the land. You can't mock them. They got all type of anti-defamation laws, and you mock them if you want at your own risk. You will lose all type of publishing and employment, sponsorship. So who's being mocked? Zwart Piet is a great example. Who's being mocked? And they just said that they were going to stop. I don't even know if they did, but people put out a petition. I'm like, y'all can't see this? They've been doing this. This is like this again, nothing new under the sun. They've been doing this for centuries. Ezekiel 5 and 14. So I will turn you into a ruin, a mockery. They're mocking us, man. A mockery in the eyes of the surrounding nations and to all who pass by. And you got foolish people, after being told this, talking about Merry Xmas. Amazing. Let's get to the mistletoe origins, okay? Again, this is more about the tree worship, worshiping of the creation, okay? Trying to get through this. The origins of today's traditions involving mistletoe may date back to the Greek festival of Saturnalia, where it was believed to confer fertility, and later with primitive marriage rites, or alternately to Scandinavia. The Greeks considered mistletoe a symbol of male fertility and call its white berries oak. You know, white from a man, come on. But this is supposed to be a fertility ritual. The plant's romantic overtones most likely started with the Celtic Druids, back to the Druids, of the 1st century AD, because the mistletoe could blossom even during the frozen winter. Again, because they're worshiping the green, they're worshiping the life of the plant, the life of the creation, not the creator. The Druids came to view it as a sacred symbol of vivacity and administered it to humans and animals alike in the hope of restoring fertility. So this is why people kiss under it. It's a fertility ritual from the Druids. What's biblical about that? You see, like I said, you can't take something wicked and make it holy. The Most High said don't do these things for a reason. We got some more verses coming up. So the history of slave gifts. So again, back to my people. I want y'all to listen to this. And this is documentation. This isn't, again, this everything I'm spitting in here is going to be in the description box. If anybody wants to mock or scoff. Okay? There are multiple documented cases of enslaved people given as gifts to family members or business partners on Christmas, including Lois Hughes, author of 30 Years a Slave. Despite revisionist historians suggesting how joyful Christmas was for the enslaved, again, you were happy being enslaved on Christmas. When are we gonna leave our oppressors' days alone, man? We're complaining about the system and supporting the days that uphold the system, family. I don't understand our people, I swear. Like, many work extra hard preparing the feast for master and family. Some had the day off, but the work would always be made up elsewhere. There were no days off. It was always New Year's Day that was the forefront of the mind of the enslaved person. New Year's was the day the owners settled their debts and taxes, often resulting in the sale of slaves and tearing apart families. On New Year's, your family was torn apart. That's what happened on New Year's. Your family was torn apart. Let me get through this, man. New Year's had entirely different concerns for enslaved people in America. It might be the day that their families were broken up for a year or forever, depending on the owner's whims or financial concerns. In those days, the fiscal year began on January 1st. Again, follow the dollar. You were a commodity. Okay? You're still a commodity because we spend the most money on these same days. You see how people don't know what slavery was? They don't know what it is because they don't read. I'm going to get that on the shirt, man. I'm telling you. In those days, the fiscal year began on January 1st, and all settlements were made at the end of the year. Farmers and plantation owners who were in debt often paid their bills by leasing or selling their enslaved people. Resistance was futile. Whippings and slave jails were the response. You can resist. You're going to be whipped, put in jail, and sold anyway. And that's what that was, man. Let me get to this too. Let me read two things to y'all. I just showed y'all, right, that we will be given as gifts, right? It says in Joel 3:3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Again, these scriptures are about us. We were nothing but gifts and sex slaves to these people for these days. Hate it or love it, it's the truth. And another thing, black folk cooking black-eyed peas on New Year's, right? This is from oliversmarket.com. It said, where did the black-eyed peas on New Year's originate? The black-eyed peas that were lucky enough to be left behind would make their way to southern tables. especially the tables of the Southern slaves who celebrated emancipation as ordered by President Lincoln on New Year's Day, January 1. After the war, the peas were eaten on the first day of January. It was because slaves were eating their master's scraps. Slaves was eating their master's scraps. They felt lucky because they had something to eat that was left behind when their whole family's being sold and split up on New Year's Day. You got black people today doing what? Eating black-eyed peas and collard greens for good luck. Destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Get the hell off TikTok for a second. Get off of YouTube for a second. Unless you're watching something that's actually putting information into your head about things that are going on, and maybe you can figure out how to supplant and get yourself up out of this system. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are stuck. We are stuck, man. Big time. Let me get back to it, man. Lost my spot with that one, but I wanted to throw that in there. And you got people that'll cuss you out if you don't got no beans for them on New Year's, right? Amazing, man. But you see the pic here of the white overseer. This is a quote. It says, "I killed 28 head of beef for the people's Christmas dinner. I can do more with them in this way if all the hides of the cattle were made into lashes." This is a white overseer as related by the historian Stephen Nessenbaum. And as you can see with the Nessenbaum name, you know who that was. But as you can see here, family, you know, when he says, "I killed 28 heads of steer basically to make the steaks," he said, if I could have made whips, meaning if I could whip more of you Negroes into working, I could have, what he say? I could have done it even quicker. I could have made them even quicker. Here's a second pic here. It says, on New Year's Day, we went to the auctioneer's block to be hired to the to be hired to the highest bidder for 1 year, from Israel Campbell, 1861. And Lincoln didn't free the slaves because he just felt bad for black people. That was a financial thing that he did. It was again about finance on January 1. Do y'all think that's a coincidence? Well, and if he did free them, what was Juneteenth about? I mean, I'm trying to, it's like waking somebody from the dead, trying to wake black folk up, man. Why are you still celebrating it? Like, I'm telling you, if you have the strength to do it, do it. Do it for 1 year. Pray to the Most High for strength. Do it for 1 year. See your family all year round. Do gifts. I'm not saying you can't do that. Plants in your house, all that. But as far as the decorating trees and wreaths on your door and all that, leave it away for 1 year. And in that time, you stay in prayer, you stay in study. In 1 year, and when the next year rolls around, see if you want to do it. See if you want to do it. I'm telling you, I took a year off from doing, and I stopped doing it before I knew it was pagan. I stopped celebrating when I felt like, again, I was in a position where I was looking for a job and I was getting turned down. I've never been turned down. I was turned down. I wasn't even getting emails back like, no, we're not taking. I wasn't getting emails back. I was just sending the application in, sending the application in, sending the application in. I'm working as a janitor. I'm not really making much, so I'm having to work extra hours. I'm trying to get my family together. And at the time, you know, I'm like, you know what? Cool. I'm just going to work and just try to get as many hours as I can, try to work as hard as I can until something shakes. And I'm not hearing nothing. Nothing. And I know I'm qualified. Now, mind you, this ain't the time when I was like in my teens or early 20s. I had a degree. Still, and I'm not getting hired nowhere. No sales, no, what that boy say on Paid in Full, you know, no rice, no egg roll, nothing. You get nothing. I got nothing. I'm like, why would I go out and spend my money and run around town and run across the state to see family and spend my money on gas and gifts and whatever, food and whatever else, and these people ain't even hiring me? Why would I do that? And when I thought about that, at the same time, the Trayvon Martin thing going on, the Eric Holder thing going on, I'm like, you know what, man? Bump these holidays, man. I'll work. They were like, hey, man, we need this done on Easter, man. You know, I know it's Easter. And looking around, I'm like, man, I'll do it. Give me that double time. How you think I got this? I bought the studio from doing this stuff. Praise the Most High, man, for real, man. And I did it for a year. Then when the next year came, I had no desire to do a holiday. And as I started reading the Bible and getting stronger in my faith, I realized the Most High didn't want me to do the holiday. So like my brother Yak said, he was doing prep work on me. I'm telling you, nothing good comes from this stuff. Janus is the Roman god of doorways, entrances, and exits. The worship of Janus traditionally dated back to Romulus and a period even before the actual founding of the city of Rome. There were many Jani, i.e., ceremonial gateways in Rome. These were usually freestanding structures that were used for symbolically auspicious entrances or exits. If you look at the Baal structures, the structures of Baal, they were also freestanding entrances. They built one in New York a few years back, and they tried to protest and get out of it. Of course, that story got buried in the news, but this is a freestanding structure just out of the middle of nowhere. You may see this in a lot of like symbolism in movies and videos. That's where they get it from the god Janus. It says here, particularly superstition was attached to the departure of a Roman army, for which there was one lucky and unlucky way to march through a Janus. The most famous Janus in Rome was the Janus Geminus. So remember Geminus, Two-Face, right? Which was actually a shrine of Janus at the north side of the Forum. Remember the north, sides of the north, the Romans. The Romans are worshiping Satan, bro. The Catholic Church is worshiping Satan. So if the Christian Church is doing everything the Catholic Church is doing, because she's the mother of harlots, who's the harlot? If she's the leader of the harlots, who's following her? Which was actually a shrine of Janus at the north side of the Forum. It was a simple rectangular bronze structure with double doors at each end. Traditionally, the doors of this shrine were left open in time of war and were kept closed when Rome was at peace. So basically, the Roman soldiers, when it said all roads lead to Rome, that's because they would go places, conquer, put people in captivity, kill, destroy. What is seek to kill, steal, kill, and destroy, take people's resources. It's the same thing. The Romans been doing the same thing. They did the same thing back then, and they're doing the same thing in recent history with the Inquisition. It's the same thing. That's why I say all roads lead to Rome, because they conquered everybody and they expanded their empire to conquer the earth. This is the beast of Revelation. Okay, so as they're doing this, the soldiers are going out through the doorway, and they have rituals. And you may see people do rituals with sports. You know, they do little things or whatever. That's what that was. They would go out and they would pray to the god Janus to be victorious in whatever they were conquering. And they would conquer. So they would give praise to Janus. But this is the part I want y'all to listen to. Just to let you know America's little Rome, that little horn. According to the Roman historian Livy, the gates were closed only about twice in all the long period between Numa Pompilius, the 7th century BC, and Augustus, 1st century BC. So we're talking about 600 to 700 years. It was only closed twice. They kept it open when they were at war. How long has the U.S. been at war? Isn't it like 94, 96% of the time? Are you starting to connect the dots? Conquering the world. If you think people had WMDs, I got a bridge in Brooklyn I can sell you, you can cash at me. You dig? I got the deed and everything. So let's get to this pick here. So Janus versus the god Gemini. Because you see the pick here, the Roman god Janus. So you look at all the Two-Face. You know, you got one that's old, one that's new. I'm going to get more into that. But you got the Two-Face god. So then you go here to the women's zodiac sign. And again, the zodiac sign, for the most part, I seen it have more of an effect on our sisters, man. More of an effect on women as a whole. They base their whole life, they base who they date, they base how they move, not on the scriptures or the Father or prayer, but and these are so-called believing Christian, some of them Hebrew, some of them Muslim, but they all connect with this damn zodiac. It's straight witchcraft. So the zodiac is star worship. That's where it came from. It's worshiping of the stars. Then we talked about the stars earlier. It all goes back. Okay, it all goes back to that. And you hear, see, the zodiac is witchcraft, y'all. It is the whole symbolism, air, water, and earth. It all dates back to that. So I want you to listen to this verse right here in Acts. This is New Testament. I want to get some New Testament stuff in here, right? Acts 7:41 through 42. It said, and they made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then the Most High turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven. Host of heaven is sun, moon, and stars. Depending on what it's talking about, it's the sun, moon, and the stars. As it is written in the book of the prophets, O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Let's get to James 1:8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You notice the Janus has two faces, two heads, right? Unstable, right? Let's get here. You see, so this is why you see, and I used to see this at parties when I would go out back when I was younger. You would have some drunk so-called white guy dressed like with a long beard and you know, the robe, and you will have another one drunk too in a damn diaper, a grown man. Now I enjoyed partying, going out having fun, but I wasn't wearing no damn diaper, man. I'm way past that, right? But you see here, they're doing it for Father Winter. So you got the old man winter. See here in this other pic right here, right? The old man winter, right? They got costumes and everything else for it. And then the New Year's the baby New Year. So you got people dressing up their babies as New Year. Then again, you got grown men dressing up as baby New Year. And they're trying to bring this trend back. So again, there's nothing new under the sun. They're still worshiping these same gods, these same deities. And if you notice, the old man winter look a lot like who? Santa Claus, right? So let's get here because I'm about to finish out in a minute. But let's get to the hypocrisy of pro-blacks and their love of money. All right, because there was once upon a time in the '60s where, again, with the struggle and looking for civil rights, we started to delineate away from dealing with these holidays. We wasn't dealing with them, especially Christmas is the big money spender. And as Nimrod told me, back then and today, as a matter of fact, there's an episode on Everybody Hates Chris about this. People would open savings accounts, y'all. Savings accounts just to celebrate Christmas, just to save so they could celebrate Christmas. They would have savings accounts. So when we started to do that, we had this guy come and create Kwanzaa, which is not African. It's not black. It's literally a made-up holiday. They made it up. There's no evidence of it in Africa or anything else. So let's read. Kwanzaa, celebrated exclusively by white liberals, and this is kind of funny because they think like that's us. No, that's something that a guy that sold out our people made up as he was a stooge for the FBI. So Kwanzaa is a fake holiday invented in 1966 by black radical FBI stooge Ron Karenga, aka Dr. Maulana Karenga, founder of the United Slaves, the violent nationalist rival to the Black Panthers. So when you look at the Black Panthers, how they were making sure they had school lunches, they were helping out families, they were protecting the neighborhood. He created the United Slaves, people that wanted to be united in slavery, bondage, as religion bondage. These holidays they're bondage. He created something called Kwanzaa. Ain't this amazing? But you got pro-black people talking about Panthers in one ear and Happy Kwanzaa in your other ear. It says liberals have become so mesmerized by multicultural gibberish that they have forgotten the real history of Kwanzaa and Karinga's United Slaves. Kwanzaa emerged not from Africa, but from the FBI's COINTELPRO. Again, research COINTELPRO. It was nothing but they got black people to infiltrate these black organizations like the Panthers that were doing positive things for our community and infiltrate them and commit crimes and sell people out and do all type of stuff and plant evidence. And COINTELPRO never went away. This is to let y'all know. This is why I don't deal with a lot of so-called groups you may see online. Oh, they're preaching truth too. Why don't you join them? Nope. I don't know them like that. I may know one or two, but I'm not against the fellowship either. I have my group that I fellowship with, you know, my family. I give them shots outs on here all the time. We chop it up. But when it comes to some of these groups, I think that they part of COINTELPRO, man. You know what I'm saying? And maybe not the people at the bottom that's learning and moving around, but I believe some of them higher ups, man, because I just have a lot of insight on this stuff. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying, open that can of worms, because I've already opened it. You can look at my video where I go into that on the Wars of the Final Kingdom, where I go through the book of Daniel. And I talk about, you know, how it's going to be in the last days according to the Most High, and how people are going to sell each other out. It's talking about our people selling each other out, family. So y'all go check that out. But let's get into the crime and the depression season, okay? Because this is also a season for crime and depression. It says here, yes, crime rates increase during the holidays, including Christmas, for a number of reasons. Number one, increased shopping. The holiday season is a time for increased consumer spending, which can lead to more opportunities for criminals, target shoppers. Crowded stores. Crowds in stores can make it easier for thieves to blend in. Absolutely. Unattended homes. I've seen this happen. Homes are often left empty while people travel or attend family gatherings, making them easier targets for burglars. Absolutely. Alcohol consumption. Many holidays events involve food and drink, which can lead to people driving drunk. I mean, come on. Y'all don't see this? Emotional state. The holidays can be a difficult time for some people, which can lead to increased risk-taking behaviors. People real emotional around holiday time. Acting a fool in traffic, fighting in the parking lot, fighting in the stores over the last flat screen, or you got 5 in your house. Pressure to give gifts. The pressure to give gifts can lead to some people to resort to theft. People be scamming. Scam likely, right? More during the holidays. Desperation. Some people may be economically challenged during the holidays and resort to crime. Same thing. It says, who gets the holiday blues? Anyone, even those who love the season, can experience the holiday blues. The season's demands, gatherings, decorations, and other stressors can leave many people stressed and exalted. Add to this the sometimes emotional aspect of special days, and it's a recipe for the doldrums. So it says here, people with a prior mental health condition may be particularly prone to holiday depression. According to the National Alliance of Mental Health Illness, or NAMI, 64% of people with an existing mental illness report that the holidays make their condition worse. And I can't say I had mental problems like that, but I can tell you, when I tell you I took that year off, man, I felt so free, man. Because I was the one, you know, the pillars, the male pillars of my family are gone and passed on for the most part. So I took it upon myself for many a year, you know, to get gifts, to send cards, gift cards, you know, try to get people together. Man, it was stress. It was like trying to herd cats, man. And these are the same people, love family, this and that. Why? And we were at that time, we was relatively in the same area. We didn't have to go out of town. But yeah, I'm good on it. So that goes back to Romans 1 and 28. Put the verse up here. But I just want to look at this part. Ahijah gave them over to a reprobate mind to do what? To do those things which are not convenient. It is not convenient. It is not convenient, family. I'm telling y'all. So I want to get into this. These cowardly Christians, these backsliding believers in Hebrews. Okay, that again. I don't celebrate, but I'm just gonna get gifts, get a tree, go sing carols, go watch this story. Christmas story. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do all this stuff. Eat the holiday turkey, go over there to get a plate. My family in town. I just seen a brother say this. Like I just got on Facebook. A brother's supposed to be strong and he Hebrew this and he got the dreads down to his knees and he like, yeah, I'm gonna see my family. He taking pictures of the food. He like, I don't care what y'all niggas say. I'm like, you ain't gotta worry about what we say. You gotta worry about what the Abba say. Cause you know better. You know better. You supposed to be a light to them to tell them to come keep the holy days. Why can't y'all do that on the holy days? That's another question. Why can't y'all do that on the holy days? We gonna get busy. But let's get to James 4:4. You adulteresses, do you not know that the friendship with the world is hostility toward a higher? Therefore, whoever chooses to be a friend of the world renders himself as an enemy of a higher. You're a friend of the world dealing with that day, especially, but all these holidays. Jeremiah 23:16. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They make you vain. It's vanity. Vanity, saith the preacher. They speak of a vision of their own heart and not out of the mouth of the Most High. T.D. Jakes, when he got outed for the baby oil Diddy parties that he was dealing with, when he got outed, he came out in that red suit looking like a fat black Santa on this holy day. I ain't trying to clown because I know he got sick or whatever. I'm not clowning the sickness. I'm clowning the vanity. Came out on this holy day and they want to come for me. It ain't no holy day. That's why this is part of the reason why you on the fire pit. Because you're a friend with the world. You're holding hands with this man. You running around partying with baby oil and IVs and ecstasies and weed and Ciroc. Yeah.
Some of you come in to hear what I'm going to say. All of you who expect me to address a lie, you can log off. I will not use this sacred day and this sacred pulpit to address a lie when I have a chance to preach a truth.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Head up, back straight, and preach the unadulterated, infallible word of God. Because that is what the pulpit is for. Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming? I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But there will be a time. So you can stop dragging people and arguing with people and fighting and just log off. All you do is just hit the button.
Don't ask how come, why come the pastor have to have him a nice house? Why come pastor doesn't have a nice car? Don't ask. I said don't ask. I said don't ask. No questions. Just give the money. Look, nigga, get the collection plate around on that side. Nigga, get it around on that side. And you so-called modern church going fakers.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
You look just like the sinner. You act just like the sinner.
That's right.
And you think just like the sinner.
That's right. That's right.
That's why you find T.D. Jakes hanging out with Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. We love you, man.
Why the churches are flying rainbow flags? Yeah. They don't want to be different. No difference. God is a God of no compromising. That's true. And if you compromise, you're just like the world. That's right. Understand, Asia is the largest continent in the world. But when Paul got done, the Bible says this Paul almost
Turned away
throughout all Asia
hath persuaded
and turned away much people,
saying that
Paul said there is no
gods which are made with hands.
He didn't care how Asia felt about him.
No, he didn't. Throughout all Asia.
Glory to God. I'm praying that this message will upset governments until they fight about it in Congress.
And then you wonder why you in this position. You're a friend of the world. Let's get it. Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. Now, I hope he does get better, and I pray that he does repent. Just on the end of that. I'm not looking for nobody to be destroyed. The reason why I do these videos is so people could awaken to the truth. Those that are, but I'm not naive enough to think that people is just going to be like, oh, yep, that's the truth. The scripture says I'm going to follow the Most High. People want to follow the world. That's why the righteousness is, he says a remnant. I'm doing this for the remnant and those that may be in the world but just never heard this information. But those that got their mind made up, those that are reprobate, those that think they know better than the Most High and the historians and the scriptures and all the facts I'm bringing out here, man, get a Christmas tree tattoo. Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. It says, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Most High. I got a testimony on this one too. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. This is what the Father's saying. There's been some things I prayed for, and I mean even recently, I'm talking about the last month, things that have where stuff has gone off the rails, or I'm trying to get this done, or I'm trying to get certain things in order, and I have in my head like, okay, I'm gonna do it like this, be able to get this, take this check, do that, or or I can what I'm saying, make an appointment here and try to keep my schedule right to where I can still have basically time management. Have my time for my kids, time for myself. I need time for myself. Time to do these videos. Time to mess with the music. I still mess with that. I'm still messing with the artwork. So I try to make time, and then time to also edit and advertise, things like that, and even things that work. Again, I'm a manager. I got man managing people, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's a task in itself. I can't just, like, a lot of times I just can't just say, hey, you got to do this. I need you to fill out these forms. Well, what are these forms? I got to sit down, explain. So I got to have time. It just goes on, and sometimes things go wrong. Oh, man, we got to get this fixed by this time, or we going to be out of conformance, and we can get hit with a fine. So, and I'll be praying on these things, y'all. I'm a praying man. You know what I'm saying? I always have been. I do think I need to pray more, but I do pray. And I do meditate and talk to the Father, and I'll be like, man, this is just go like this. It could just get like this, and it won't get like that, but it'll get done, and it'll get done on His time. Just like with this video, I wanted to do this video like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, probably 3, but I was so busy. I wanted to make sure the last one I did went through the censors and was able to be posted for people to see, because I didn't want to be doing this and then be over here trying to get this and then be over here, because something could fall through the cracks. I could miss a whole section. I could miss a verse. I could miss a important, maybe a piece that I was going to put in there to tie everything together. I like to be clear-headed each lesson. I don't usually, even if I'm doing two side by side, when it's time to put one out, I go just like this and zoom in here. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about it, like, you know what? I need to do this after the holiday because people are under the spell. They're already mocking. I'm looking on I try to stay off of the timeline and stuff like that during this time of year or during these holidays because people are stuck in that mind state. They can't come out of it until the day is over and done and some time has passed. Then they're like, man, yeah, man, I can't believe I drove all the way to such and such city and they were acting funny with me, man. That's why I don't mess with them. But you'll see them next year. You'll see them next year. You'll buy gifts. You'll do the same thing. So maybe around this time, this is just an example. His ways ain't my ways. That's why when things don't work out, when things don't happen, or as I think that they should, or I work toward, it says praise him when you're down, praise him when you up. You understand? It says when you down, think about this prosperity time. When you having prosperity, think about the downtime. Thank him for it. It's all for a reason. It's all for a reason. You may not see it, I may not see it, but when you doing righteously, and sometimes things just ain't working, just pray through it and just keep this, like I say, keep your hand on that plow. Eventually, it's gonna happen how it's supposed to happen because everything came out how it's supposed to happen. I made all my deadlines, like with the work thing, made all my deadlines, all the paperwork, everything got sorted out. All glory to a higher, man. So when he's telling us not to do these days, he's not just doing, like, his wisdom is above all. It's a reason. You're under a spell doing these. I'm just letting you know you're under a spell. I was under the spell too. I'm not saying like I was under the spell. I'm not anymore. So December 25th and the gods worldwide, the Christmas celebration. So all these pagan gods have December 25th birthdays. You got Tammuz. That's the fake Christ or the Antichrist, right? You got Horus, you got Dionysus, Mithras, and Hercules. And I got 2 videos where I go and break down these false Christs. I'll put them up here. Y'all go check them out, man. Go check them videos out. I break down how they're going to try to basically merge these false Christs with the true Messiah of the Bible. Okay, Luke 2:2-4, because this is what they try to do. They try to crowbar scriptures to where they don't belong. Just like they take something pagan, something wicked, like Halloween, and then call it trunk or treat. Something that's totally witchcraft. That 100% witchcraft. You can see on the surface it is. Not like Christmas where it's like they bury it. But they try to crowbar scripture in there. Look how they try to crowbar this in here. And it came to pass in those days that there went a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was made when Semiramis was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, everyone in his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out to the city of Nazareth unto Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was the house and lineage of David. That's why they call Yasha son of David. So he did this. Why would you just think about this? I'm going to show some proof here. Why would you hold that in the winter? Who travels now? Nowadays we got cars and planes and trains and automobiles and boats. But back then you had a horse and carriage. Why would you want to travel in the winter? When there are wolves and freezing temperature. It's freezing in this region of the world at this time. So why would you? So why you got old ladies, maybe young babies? Why would you want tax time around that time? Does that make any kind of sense to you? If you want everybody to meet in that time with the technology that they have, why would you do it in the winter? Even Mark 13-18, when it talks about there'll be a time when you'll have to leave, our people will have to leave one city and go to another because we're going to be persecuted when that dragon chases us into the wilderness. It says here, and pray that your flight be not in winter, because winter is inconvenient. It's inconvenient to travel with even now. The bundle up, get coats. You know, y'all stuffed in the car. Don't people usually travel more? I worked in the airport. Most of the traveling is done in the warm months. Summer was, I didn't even have a team. It was just me. Summer was hard. But let's read history. This is y'all don't have to believe me and my, you know, my anecdotal story, my as they call it. Ancient Roman Emperor Augustus changed the tax system in late 1st century BCE. The collection had originally been done through tax farmers who collected taxes from their respective regions based on the assessment of the region as a whole and turned them over to the government. The Romans counted days of months differently than we do. The Ides was the middle day of the month, so the Ides of March was March 15th. The Romans also generally specified due dates for financial obligation by the Ides, and since they allowed a quarter to get the previous year's corporate debts due to the government, March 15th was the day as such debts were due. Even today, April 15th is the day when your taxes is due, family. Nothing new under the sun. It was essentially tax day. Ironically, this became true under Julius Caesar. Caesar, the family that ruled when Christ walked the earth, as he instituted the Julian calendar, which moved the traditional New Year celebration to January 1, even more ironically, March 15th. The New Year's is in March. Remember when I read about the slaves and they did the debts the first of the year? The New Year's is originally and biblically and historically always been in March. The Romans changed the date to the first. That's why in Daniel 7:25 said they will think to change dates, times, and laws. The Romans did that. Gay marriage happened under the Romans. Daylight saving times, the Romans. Leap year, the Romans. BC to AD, the Romans think to change times and laws so you can worship their gods. So you see, Christmas worldwide, the only places that you see that ain't messing with it is what? The Islamic countries. But again, they, not saying they over there, but the ones that I see around and online and on TV, sure, they still selling. Shoot, Ahmad still got the 7-Eleven open. He'll sell you a 40. Tell you Merry Christmas. You dig what I'm saying? Let's not play ourselves, man. But Christmas around the world. So let's read this quick paragraph here. Okay, because around the world, remember I said to be a friend of the world is to be an enemy of the Most High? Around the world, they dealing with Christmas. Around the world. So it says on December 25th, each year, over 2 billion people, that's over a third of the world's population, will celebrate the birth of quote unquote Christ. He wasn't born in, come on, they don't do taxes. What does it say? They do taxes around March 15th, historically. So how did they get from March 15th to say his birthday is way in December? Oh, yeah. Let's keep it moving. By the 4th century, the early church had plumped for January 6th, but as the religion gained popularity across the Roman Empire, they realized that Christmas Day was competing with the existing Roman festival of Sol Invictus. Now, that's a lot of word salad, but basically what they did was they had the Sol Invictus, which was the worship of the sun, because December 25th marked, December, I believe, December 22nd, marked like because you know, the winter time, the nights get longer, the days get shorter. It marked the longest period of darkness of the year. So 3 days after December 22nd, on the 25th, it began to get, more sunlight. They worshiped the sun. So December 25th was the birth of the sun starting to have longer days in the atmosphere. That's where they got that from. So they just put Christ as the sun god you worship on Sunday. He has the sun halo around, right? They put him as the sun god. So it says here, As the case with many of our, they say our holidays, they ain't our holidays, but in many of our holidays, the Christians decided the best course of action was to switch Christmas Day to December 25th so that both holidays could be celebrated on the same day, and eventually Christmas Day would outlast Sol Invictus. No, Christmas Day is Sol Invictus. They try to Christianize pagan worship. You can Christianize it all you want. You can't biblicize it. This is why I say I would never call myself a Christian, because I don't celebrate Easter. I don't celebrate Christmas. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, none of that. The church upholds all of that. And all of that is not biblical. And the world loves Christmas. Think about it. The world, I just showed you that map. The world loves Christmas. Let's read John 18 through 21. This is the words of Christ. They want to name the day after him. Let's see what he said, though. If the world hate you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love its own. But because ye are not of the world, I have chosen you out of the world. So I'm not dealing with no holidays. So said many are called. Everybody, oh, I've been called. You might have been called, but few are chosen. I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. This is why when they start getting on some more spiritual stuff and try on the righteous side in Hollywood and different industries like music, what happens? You don't hear from them. That should show you a lot about the industry. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. These people do not know the Most High. He said the world hated him. And he said, if you follow him, the world gonna hate you too. This is Christ saying it, not me. Not trying to be, oh, you trying to be so negative. Feel like, man, this is what the Lord and Savior said right here. You gonna argue with him? Okay, like I said, people think they know more than the Most High, they know more than Yahshua. That's fine. Good luck with that. But he said that they would hate him. Let me put this map back up here. Do you not see all the world celebrating his quote-unquote B-Day? Who hates you and celebrates your B-Day, man? Who does that? I mean, it's one thing to acknowledge it. They celebrating it. So let's get to ritual versus spiritual. And you see here, ritual. Okay, because when you're doing Christmas, when you're putting up trees, when you're kissing under mistletoe, when you're getting the Yule log is also, when I said Nimrod died on that stump is the Yule log. You burn it. Okay, that's also part of the whole ritual. So you're doing that, you're getting candy canes, you're sitting your kids on Santa lap, you're talking about a fat man coming down the chimney. You're doing all this is a ritual. You're putting up a tree, you're decorating it with silver and gold. All this is a ritual. The Most High says not to do this ritual. I'm gonna read in a minute. But a ritual, it says a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. And it comes from the word rite. Rite, a religious or other solemn ceremony or act. You're doing a rite. You know who has rites? Occultists. So I'm gonna go to that famous verse now that we went through all that, because I know y'all been probably waiting for this one. Yeah, I'm gonna come with it. So we're gonna go to Jeremiah 10. This is what the Most High is saying to you, Israel. I'm speaking to you directly, to the Gentiles that want to adhere to it and say that your forefathers had lies and they pass them down to you, and your forefathers are the fathers of lies. They lied to you too. But Israel, I need you to snap out of it, because this was never for you. Hear ye the word which the Most High speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Most High, learn not the way of the heathen. Learn not the way of the nations around you. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, the star, the North Star on your tree, the star worship, But that's all heaven. I mean, that's all Sol Invictus and Christmas. It's worship of the sun. For the heathen are dismayed at them. You see how crazy they go when something in the skies? For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. So a workman is going to the forest and they're cutting out a tree with an axe. Let's go to verse 4. They deck it with silver and gold. They got a song called Silver and Gold. You understand? They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers that it move not. They sit there and mount it, right? They are upright as the palm tree. So they're not laying down. They're upright as the palm tree, but they speak not. There must needs be born because they cannot go, but be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. They want to act like you're going to go to hell if you don't have a Christmas tree. Some of these people. I have family members tell me that. I'm being 1,000 with you. Read this verse though. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Ahiah, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Okay. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it pertain. For as much as among all the wise men of the nations and all their kingdoms, there is none like unto Ahiah. But let's get to verse 8. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. The tree is a doctrine of vanities. That's why all circles around the tree, the holly, the this, the that, but they always got to have that damn tree. Think about it. So yeah, he calls it a stock of vanities, and it's vain. It's extremely vain. That's why I hope after the high dies down, they can sit and watch this and review some of the things that we went over with these historians, archaeologists, and come out of that. For those that the Most High got to give you this knowledge. I'm just a vessel here. You know what I'm saying? But he got to give you the knowledge and the understanding and the wisdom. That comes from him. You need to ask him for that. I can't get that to you. I can just show what I'm supposed to show. Let's get to this conclusion though. Isaiah 5:20. It says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. When you're making something that's totally wicked based on pagan gods, pagan worship, pagan satanic rituals and practices and rites, and you're saying you're doing it in Christ's name, that's what you're doing. You're making evil good. You're making bitter sweet. You're making darkness light. That's you that are doing this. You're doing this. It's clearly not biblical. Clearly. And for some of you, Bruce, I want to say this before I close out. I'm really gonna ask y'all, please, just take a second whenever you have some time. Check out my calendar on my website. Check out my Sign of the Times Year of the Jubilee video, please. I need y'all to really understand this. A lot of us, we do two things. We come into the truth, we find out who we are, and we take what the people are doing in the land, and we take that on ourselves. Whatever they celebrate, but you got to understand, they're not celebrate. They say that they're Torah based, they're Kabbalah based. Okay, they're dealing with the Kabbalah. They're dealing with Zoroastrianism. They're dealing with everything, all types of occultist stuff. Okay, from the Kabbalah and on. That's what they're dealing with. They're dealing with magic and sorcery. They write about it. Now they'll come out to us in the public and on TV and say, "Oh no, we're the people of Torah and God." And blah, blah, blah. Not true. Okay, not true. The people that's running that, not true. Maybe some that's full. You know, they might be. I don't know. But I'm talking about the majority. I've done a lot of research on this. I implore you to do the same. The second thing we do is we follow one of these camps or these organizations in Israel, of the real Israel, and we just follow their calendar. And we don't ask any questions. Which, again, I'm a victim of both of those things in some form or fashion. Until I started to look, and I'm like, wait, hold on, this is kind of weird because it seems off. I don't see this in the Bible. If you're celebrating the Passover and you look over your shoulder and they're celebrating Easter, beloved, you have the wrong day. I say this out of love, y'all. I say this out of love. If you're celebrating the Feast of Dedication or Hanukkah, you're celebrating that, and you look over your shoulder and they're celebrating Christmas, beloved, you have the wrong day. I say this out of love. I see too many times where you are celebrating days and they're celebrating the same thing. You are incorrect. And that's not just me saying it, the Father's saying it. I'm going to read it here. But I'm asking you, please, 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 I'm doing the work. I'm just trying to show you. Even if you don't agree with it, at least look at it and think about what this verse I'm about to read is saying. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order, and they will disturb the seasons and the years and be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. When I put together the calendar video and I looked at the calendar, which I've done for several years, I look at the sunlight and the time of day and the time of night. And of course, I observe the moon. I observe the sun and the moon. And that's how I put it together. And of course, doing research online, looking at sites that, and I'm talking about non-religious sites that just deal with sunlight, darkness, hours a day. The Enochian Jubilean calendar, which the Zadokian priests of Moses dealt with. And I'm not the only one that came to this conclusion. I'm no guru. Many brothers and sisters I came across, but you have to look into it. Let's keep reading. And the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as all the order of years. We do not follow a lunar calendar. 364 days is each Hebrew year. So saith the Father. For I know, and from henceforth I will declare it unto thee, it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, the feast of the covenant, Purim, Passover, tabernacles, trumpets, Pentecost, first fruits, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to what? The feast of the Gentiles. Who? The feast of the Gentiles. You have been told your whole life, a lot of y'all, especially if you come from the Christian church, that you're a Gentile. I'm here to tell you, the word's here to tell you, you are not a Gentile. You are the chosen. You are following the Gentiles. They should be following you, and you should be following the Most High. Following Christ, who told you to follow the Most High. Forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after their error and their ignorance. Does any of what I read about this wicked holiday seem like it's righteous? Seem like it's something we should do? That's what you're doing every year. You can keep doing it. You can put crosses all around your house, which that's pagan too. That's the Tia of Tammuz anyway. But you can do all that and put the holly up, and you can pray to Christ and sing Silent Night, Holy Night. It's still pagan. That's the same as me saying I'm gonna have an affair in the name of my wife. I'm gonna go and mess with, I'm gonna go to an escort service and what I'm saying, go out on a date and be like, yeah, doing this because I tell my wife, yeah, because I love women. That's why I'm doing this. Is that gonna fly with her? Well, is it gonna fly with the Most High that you're doing this in Christ's name? He didn't send Christ to tell you to do none of this. He actually sent a prophet, Jeremiah, way back in Jeremiah 10 to tell you not to do this. And Christ says specifically in Matthew 5, the law and the prophets are not done away with. He didn't say he came to do away with them. He said he came to establish them. If the prophets and the law said that we needed a sacrifice, and he did away with it, you're doing away with your foundation. They spoke of you. This is why when he got up in the synagogue, or the temple rather, and read Isaiah, this is why they were looking at him like, man, hold on, he fit this. He's like, so I'm him, he's him. He fits this. So why would he do away with the people that was prophesying he was gonna come? Why would he do away with the law when he's a sacrificial part of the law? The law, part of the law is you have to have a sacrifice. Christ is the sacrifice. Speaking of Christ, let me read this last verse, man. You know, because I know people are going to hear all this, and the Christmas trees will be up in 2025, right? Matthew 7, 21 through 23. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. See, I have a lot of so-called believers that run with that verse from Paul where it says, call on the Lord. Or I forget, I'll paraphrase, but, you know, call on the Lord and you will be saved. It's like people don't understand that things have, like, I don't want to say like it's inferred. Like if I say, I don't know, like, can you go wash my car or something? I don't have to sit up here and break down. You have to go to a car wash. You have to go to a station and get soap and water and a sponge. Like, call on the Lord, but you can't call on the Lord and go pull a kick, though. You can't call on the Lord and go slang a brick and say, well, I'm calling the Lord, you know, right before they shoot me. You know, Jesus, you know, they shoot you, you good. Like that's what some people, I had people preach that to me. But you can go out there and do evil and just call on the Lord. What the Christ, that's again, you have to read that. That's the word, context. Read it in context. What's the context of what he's saying? That's why he says here, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter in the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord. This is Christ. He done came back. That day of destruction, the Lord's day, right? They will say to me, Lord, Lord, did not we prophesy in your name? He ain't talking about atheists. He ain't talking about Muslims for the most part. There's some messianic Muslims that believe in Christ, and I've seen them. But we could throw them in there too if they doing any of this. He's talking about people that believe on him. He's not just talking about he's talking about people that believe on him, that are doing what? Prophesying in his name, cast out demons in your name, and do mighty works in your name. These are people these are Christians, man. I don't know how to tell. These are Christians he's talking about. I'm gonna read his words. You don't look at me. Look at the scriptures. Did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, do many mighty works in who? Your name. Christmas. You're doing it in his name. What is he gonna say to you? And I will declare to them, I never knew ye. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. You're not keeping the law. The first rule. Hold on, let me get to it. I'm about to wrap up, man. Let's go to Exodus 20, man. Let's go to Exodus 20. You breaking the first commandment. That's why he said you're gonna be lawless. I'm doing this in your name. Christ mass. And really, mass means death. But that's for another. He says right here. Let's go to Exodus 20. And I could even read too. I am the Lord thy God, which hath brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Like what I say, the etymology of religion is to bind, bondage. He's bringing you out of Egypt, out of false religion, out of false ways, out of tree worship and nature worship and false god worship. The next thing he says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Who does that tree and that star on the tree represent? Does it represent Christ? He's the North Star or the East Star? Who you gonna serve? Next rule. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or the likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is the water under the earth. You have a graven image. It's not just having an image of it, you're bowing down to it. Look what he's saying in the next verse. Thou shalt not bow thyself down to them. When you're going down to get the gift, what are you doing? You done decorated this thing, cut it out of the forest. And it's a thing over there. I wanted to take a picture of it so bad. I had to get the kids to the house. They got a thing where, like, throw your Christmas trees away here. So now you're out of the spell. You've done the ritual. You've done the rite. Now you can throw your tree out to the side. You can eat your beans for January 1st and then be enslaved under the system of Babylon for another year. Do y'all see the pattern? I freed 1,000 slaves. I would have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they was enslaved, in bondage to this damn wicked system and the religion and the holidays that they give you to make you think you're serving the Most High. To those that hear, blessed be your ears. To those that see, blessed be your eyes. We're going to keep it moving, family. I got a lot to get into, and we ain't even getting started. I got a lot to get into, so I'm going to be busy. I'm going to stay on my grind. I pray that this video touches you. It reaches you. Got a lot of things coming. I'm not going to speak on it. I'm just going to show it. So with all that being said, Shalom. Peace and blessing to you, Israel. And one love, family.
Fresh off the press, baby. Catch me in traffic. Southside Militia.
Bunch of niggas acting Hollywood and not celebs. Saying thoughts be going viral, playing hard to get. This that elephant in the room thinking. Who told you Big Shirley could fit that two-seater? Who told you coronavirus the new fever? False prophets be lying, but I'm a true seeker. Need Allah high and warmer cause they weapons for me. Frankie Beverly and Mays, look at California. This a labor market. You can check with corporate before they check for warrants. And the next informant, church is really loyal to the Vatican. Won't hit us from reporters with their cameramen. Like Beyonce surrogate boys carry it. Like I ought to be recording this in Nazareth. Prophesying to the wind, yelling the incoming. Tinted up and humming. Up to 1000. Goblin to a god, then who is God sent? God talk versus gossip. I feel them sticks, we be carrying they chopsticks. Yasha said copper swore like our ops did. This time be moving like a Mach 6. They done turned the whole country to a mosh pit. Grown women think it's cool being toxic. Grown men broke hating that is nonsense. Topic of every discussion seems scam-like. A lot of gaslighting. Watch the gas price. Tried to tell them it was written by the handwriting. Need some chastising and some baptizing. Careful walking through this land, they the landmine.